Hey, and welcome to Agent 64 Spies Never Die. This is very much a love letter to Goldeneye and Perfect Dark on the Nintendo 64. It wears that inspiration very clearly on its sleeve, and we'll talk about that as we get into the gameplay features. I wanted to just quickly show off the settings here because obviously this is on PC, there's a lot of customization. You can play with controllers, you can play with mouse and keyboard. There's also a lot of settings graphically that you can play around with. This game is being made by Replicant D6. It is a solo project, it is a passion project, and it has been floating around in the gaming space for a few years now. There was actually a demo put out back in 2023 that really caught everyone's attention. The game kind of went a bit quiet from there, and it's kind of popped its head back up now. There is a multiplayer component to it in this playtest. So, as you can see, much like Goldeneye and Perfect Dark, you can change the difficulty settings and they give you new objectives, new things to do in the mission, and generally ups the stakes. As you can see when we load into the first mission here, you can see that N64 inspired graphics style is clearly on show here. There is a blockiness to character models and to the world in general that really does kind of fit that late 1990s, early 2000s vibe. So the first thing I want to point out here as we jump into the game, I love the N64 nod here. It is very, very nice. You can't blow it up, unfortunately. I mean, if you did, Nintendo would probably come flying in through that window. But as you can see here, this playtest has two levels in it. We're basically escaping from this giant tower block. So much like with Goldeneye and with Perfect Dark, missions kind of come in acts, and you have to play through them to complete the mission and move on to the next level. It should be noted that if you listen to the enemy sounds, they do kind of sound very, very similar to the N64 games and the noises that the enemies make when you shoot them. The environments are actually pretty nice to look at. Everything has like that sort of blocky charm to it, but you can shoot things like the books there, and yes, the boxes do all blow up. It would not be a GoldenEye inspired game if the boxes and everything in the world had the potential to just blow up for no reason. I also kind of like how the level design at points allows you different options. You can come outside here to shoot the guards through the windows, or you can just storm in and take them head on. I think that, hopefully in the later levels, we'll see this expanded upon, because it is played around with here, but it's only done like in small doses. So hopefully that's something that the finished game will let you lean into completely. But as you can see, it is quite nice to explore these spaces. There are sort of side areas here, like this bathroom, which has an armor in it. Very, very nice. You also pick up weapons from enemies who are falling, and let's head out here, kill you. I'm just going to let you enjoy the vibes of the music and the level and the sounds for a little bit here, and then I will come back in a second. Obviously, the big question you're going to be asking is, what's the gunplay like? And what's really nice is that you can actually modify it in the settings to your liking. You can see that I've got the aim assist on, and obviously if you've played Goldeneye, Perfect Dark, games from around that time, the games generally tended to be very generous with the aiming assist, but you can actually turn that off in the menus if you really just fancy having a more pure shooting experience. As you can see here, I have to use the keycard. I actually have to get the keycard out and use it. I did actually get a bit stuck there the first time because I did think it was a bit difficult to work out actually how to get the keycard out. You have to go into the menu, you have to get it out, and it's like, oh, okay. But one thing I do appreciate is that the environments are pretty destructible. You can go around like a madman shooting all the things, and most of the things will blow up or at least degrade in some way, which, it's very nice. It's nice to have that kind of level of destructibility in these games. I think as well, one thing that I think they need to implement a bit better. The silenced weapons, they don't really work as intended, because when you're using the silenced weapons, as soon as you shoot, all the guards in the room become alerted to you, at least in my experience. I'm not quite sure why that is. I would like my silenced weapon to, you know, have that ability to let me sneak through the spaces. So that was one minor thing that I was a bit disappointed in. Hopefully that'll get fixed. Because when I'm playing these games, I do love using the silenced weapons, because that really does make you feel like you are a secret agent. And obviously, it will be nice to feel like you can get through some of these missions as sneaky as you can, as possible. If you are wondering, yes, you can shoot off the tracker. If you're feeling particularly devious, the level actually gives you 2 of them, so I get the feeling that they think people might try that. And yes, you can fail missions, it is possible, and much like in Goldeneye, it doesn't automatically boot you back to the main menu. If you mess up and you fail a mission, the game will tell you that you failed and you should probably stop, but I'm going to assume in the final game that there are going to be points where there'll be fun consequences for that. One of the things I used to love in Goldeneye was that you could fail a mission and it just made things incredibly difficult, because the game would punish you like in very, very odd and quirky ways. So I'm hoping that's something that gets carried over here. You can see that bullet shot on the wall there, it is a bit of a, it is a bit obvious that it's sort of been painted onto the environment. I'm trying not to be too critical of this, by the way, and I'll explain why. This is being made by one person, and this is the passion project. This is entirely created by that person, and obviously the music is being composed by someone else, and I assume that there's help going in elsewhere, but at the bottom of this, it's just one person who is making this because they really want more Goldeneye Perfect Dark gameplay, and I can dig that. Who doesn't want to have more Goldeneye and Perfect Dark, you know, because we're definitely not getting that off Microsoft anytime soon. I do like the music as well. I feel like in the levels, the music is actually really catchy, and it really helps to sort of build atmosphere. Unfortunately, I don't like the main menu music. I think the main menu music kind of feels a bit placeholdery. I'm really hoping that if this does make its way to a final release, that changes. When we go back to the main menu next, I'll let you listen to it, because maybe you'll understand what I'm saying there. It doesn't really stick in the head. I think that's the same sound used in Goldeneye as well when you get shot. I love the use of lighting here as well. They managed to kind of spice up some of these, what would otherwise be mundane areas, by throwing in some cold lighting. So that is definitely appreciated. And I think this is the end of the level. It is. Nice. So when you finish the level, you obviously get to see your character escape, and then you get a bunch of info drops, so you can see the objectives completed. You can see there's a part-time. That part-time will unlock you a cheat, and as you can see here, you'll get vampirism if you complete the level in 1 minute 40 seconds. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to just show off what it's like to try and speedrun this, because one of the things with Goldeneye, you could unlock the cheats in game, but you had to complete the missions on certain difficulties at certain times. I don't know if that's going to be the case with this, because it seems that across all the difficulty settings, you unlock something when you complete the part-time. So I'm curious to see if that's just because this is a demo, or if that is because that is the intention, that no matter what difficulty you play on, you can try to unlock stuff. I do like the fact that this has been implemented. It's something that I think adds a lot of replayability to levels, but it also makes the game kind of feel like you're learning it. You have to learn it, you have to master it, you have to find the best route through the levels in order to get the prize at the end. I kind of wish more modern games did that, but obviously putting that in means, you know, they can't sell you DLC later, so I'm shrugging my shoulders at that. The enemy designs, they are fine. Like, obviously they are not as like low res as your Goldeneye and Perfect Dark enemies, but they have that blocky aesthetic, so their faces kind of have like the crease in the middle, and the polygons are very much there on showcase. So again, if you don't dig the vibe of this when you're playing through it, you are not going to like this game, because there's no way you can sort of upscale all that, at least not at the current time. Are you actually kidding me? Half a second? No, I refuse that. We are going to try this again. I will not be beaten by half a second there. Absolutely not. But this is what I like this. This is why mods like this in modern games really should be standard, because this adds so much replayability to the levels. It means that, you know, you've got reason to come back and to play through on higher difficulties. It gives you something to play towards as well, because unfortunately in a lot of modern games you play the levels, you're done, and then you never really want to go back because, well, what are you playing for? You're just playing for, you know, a score, which is, it's fun, but like, I'm not a fan of like games like that just have score attacks. The movement is actually pretty nice. Now, I don't know if I'm being silly or not. I cannot find a run button, and when I looked in the options, there was not a run button, so I'm just going to assume that this is the default speed that you have to move at. There is actually a multiplayer component to this game, and there's actually local multiplayer as well, so this game really does want you to bring your friends into the experience. You can play the campaign cooperatively with people. I think you can play online and local. Yeah, there we go, we did it. Second time, you know, it was the charm. And we got big head mode, excellent. I'll show off paradox mode towards the end of the video, because I want to jump into the second mission here. As well as that, I want to talk about the level layout, because like I was mentioning earlier on, the levels do have a slightly open design, so you can go exploring. But I also feel that these first two levels may not show off the sort of execution and potential, because in these levels you are kind of snaked into these little corridors like this, and there are little moments where things open up a tiny bit, but ultimately you are forever on one path. I just want to show off the start menu here quickly, just to sort of give you a flavour for the fact that you can jump into the gear options and pick things directly. You can see the briefing, and you can also mess around with the options if you really want to. You also can have a nice look at all the items that you're carrying here. Restarting the mission because my laptop decided to crash there. So I guess the other thing to talk about with this game is the fact that it has been in development hell for quite a while. And I don't like using the term development hell, but this was sort of unveiled back in, I think it was 2023. There's actually videos on YouTube of these exact levels back then. So clearly this game has been sort of in the ether, floating around, and it's kind of popped its head back up now because there's an active playtest. And if you're watching this when I upload, which is in February 2026, you can actually download that for free on Steam and give this a try yourself. So you can actually experience, wow, some of those graphics are blurry. Woof. That's not me going woof in a bad way, that's me just saying woof as in like, oof, wow, that really is taking us to the N64 sort of space. But yes, this game has, well, hello you. It has got a bit of a development tail on it, unfortunately, and there is not a release date yet at the time of me making this video. Now, obviously you can see the game exists, the game is functional, and it is pretty fun to play. So all of the ingredients are here. It simply seems to be a case of, can this get over the finish line? And it's kind of unfortunate that it has taken as long as it has, because I think some people, especially from the comments I've been reading online, seem to think that this is going to end up being a good example of vaporware. But like I said, this is up on playtest. You can play online if you really want to at the minute. You can only play through the first two missions because obviously you're not going to be getting the full experience in a playtest. But at the same time, I do feel like there's a lot of potential here. There is something here, and I think that I play a lot of first-person shooter games. I play through a lot of first-person experiences, and it's just nice to have something that just feels a little bit, you know, different. because this does have like its very own quirks, its very own ideas, and it's not going to revolutionize first-person shooter gaming in 2026, but what it is, it's going to be its own beast, should it turn up. But then that also brings us to the discussion of price, and whenever I do these kind of videos, I always talk about price, especially when it comes to remasters or games like this. I don't know if you could price this as a full price game, and that's not me being cruel, that's not me being harsh. I do feel though that the success of this game will live and die by, oh my god, there's a nice little reference here to the events in Goldeneye when you can shoot the guards in the toilet. That's pretty nice. Oh, there's an armor there, excellent. I think that what will really set this game up for failure or success is it has to find that sweet spot. I'm not saying it needs to be like dirt cheap, but what I am saying is that this game is what it is, and I think that that's going to be very much a linchpin of where this game is going to go if and when it eventually releases. Oh right, we have some friendly AIs here who are actually helping us out. That's nice. I have to ask the question here, is this all our apartment, or are we sort of just going into random people's spaces and just sort of causing mayhem across the board? But I do see a lot of potential in this, and I have seen people talking about the fact that if this does release, it's probably going to have workshop compatibility. And the thing with a game like this is, if you let the modders do their thing, you could very easily end up with a game that ends up being built upon. So I am very excited for what the future of this could potentially be. Oh, we need a keycard or something. Let's explore this space a little bit. So I think we have to save people. In the objectives, I saw that we had to save civilians of some kind. So let's see if I can find where all that is happening. Oh, hello. There you go. Oh, I thought I'd shot him then. The way he kind of just shot down and ducked there really made me think I just shot him by accident. Where are you going? Okay, you're just going back to the safe space. Excellent. You do that for me. Ooh, careful. There is a charm to this game though, and in my brief time with it, I do find myself kind of wanting to play more of it. There is a feeling here that there is something quite nice going on with this game, and if you are not really into first-person shooters in the modern age, I think that you'll find a lot to like here. There's definitely a lot of, you know, the quirks of that era of Goldeneye and Perfect Dark bakes into this one. So if you're like me, you like old school first-person shooters, this is going to be right up your alley. Who's shooting? Quiet. I like how he just ran off again, ducked down and just ran. I also hope there's quite a bit of variety in levels. These two opening levels are fine for my money, but I personally, if it was me, I wouldn't have chosen these two as the showcase for this, because I feel, like I said earlier on, you do kind of feel like at times you're being sort of put into like very narrow corridors, and I think maybe showing a more open-ended level would have been the way to go with this. Maybe, potentially. I don't even know if that's on the roadmap. But I am very open to playing more of this when it eventually does touch down. Games like this intrigue me because obviously they're wearing their inspiration on their sleeves, and oh, okay, we've reached the end of the level. Hello, you. So it's clear that voice acting is not on the cards in this one, which that will probably also be a thing that some people don't like. I can't with the heads. The heads, oh my gosh. So I don't know, like, if putting voices in a game like this would be beneficial or not. I guess, like, if you want to be true to the N64 experience, you don't bother. But then maybe, you know, they'll put it in and you can turn it off if you really, really don't want to deal with that. Ah, second mission done. And that's pretty much it for what the levels have on offer in this package. If you go into Paradox mode, they have made all the cheats available, it seems, at least all the cheats available at the time of writing. So, and you can randomize them as well, so you don't have to sort of pick yourself. You can go wild and just be like, hey, let the game choose. I really appreciate this because, again, adds a lot of replay ability. I am going to let you listen to this title music just for a second here. I want you to tell me this is not like placeholder music. So while I'm playing through Paradox mode here, I think it's time I gave you my honest, unfiltered opinions, because you've sat through me playing this backwards and forwards, you've seen me having a good time of it, airing some of my frustrations. I think this has the potential to be a really, really fun homage. Do I think it's going to change gaming? No, definitely not. I think as well, the market for this game is going to very much be in the, if you liked Goldeneye and Perfect Dark and you kind of liked playing the remakes of those or the remasters that have been released over the years, I think you will find a lot to like here. If you do not like that kind of game, then I think you are going to not find much here. Unfortunately, like, this very much was that inspiration close to its chest, and you kind of have to buy into it or you're not going to like it. I love the gameplay personally. I think the gameplay loop is really fun. I hope that future levels give you more option to sort of explore, go off the beaten path, just do things that, you know, you should be able to do in these kind of games. I think the levels that they put into the demo here are fine. I don't think they were the best levels, and I feel that they're okay. I think that they showcase what the potential is without really giving away too much. Love the fact that everything can blow up in a room. It's really fun. The plasma rifle here is interesting. Don't think we had a plasma rifle in Goldeneye. And the fact that this has multiplayer baked in, that you'll be able to play deathmatch, you'll be able to play all kinds of modes, and even play co-op locally and online, I think there's a lot of potential here. But then again, there's been a lot of potential since it first showed up a few years ago. So hopefully it won't be too long until we actually get to experience this. And if you're watching this when I've uploaded, like I said, there is a free playtest on Steam. You can join it and you can jump in and play to your heart's content until I think it's the 16th of February. But yeah, let me know in the comments, have you played this yourself?